Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about the one thing that's been secretly holding you back without you even realizing it. You know that feeling when everything is finally clicking? When the texts are flowing, the chemistry is undeniable, the conversation goes deep into the night, and for the first time in forever you're thinking, maybe this is it? And then, just like that, he pulls back. The texts get shorter. The plans get vaguer, the energy shifts, and you're left standing there wondering what the hell just happened. Did I say something wrong? Did I come on too strong? Was I not enough? And here's the truth nobody wants to hear. It's not about you being too much or not enough. It's about something far more primal, far more unconscious, something that's been wired into him since childhood. And if you don't understand this, you're going to keep repeating the same pattern with different men for the rest of your life. So let me ask you something, and I want you to be brutally honest with yourself right now. How many times have you been in this exact situation? How many times have you felt that intoxicating rush of connection, only to watch it dissolve the moment things start to get real? Because here's what I know after working with thousands of women. This isn't random. This isn't bad luck. This is a pattern. And patterns don't break themselves. They break when you finally understand what's really happening beneath the surface. Matthew Hussey talks about this all the time. He says, attention is not intention. Just because a man is giving you attention, just because he's texting you, spending time with you, even sleeping with you, doesn't mean he has intention. Intention is what shows up when things get uncomfortable. Intention is what stays when the novelty wears off. Intention is what pushes through resistance instead of running from it. And most men? They're not running from you. They're running from what you represent. You represent real intimacy, real vulnerability, real commitment. And for a man who hasn't done his own work, who hasn't healed his own wounds, who hasn't learned how to sit with discomfort, that feels like a threat, not an opportunity, a threat. And so he pulls away. Not because you did anything wrong, but because getting close to you means he has to face parts of himself he's been avoiding his entire life. Esther Perel says something profound about this. She says love requires two things: surrender and autonomy. We need closeness, but we also need space. We need intimacy, but we also need independence. And here's the kicker. Most people have no idea how to balance these two needs. So what happens? One person surrenders too much. The other guards their autonomy too fiercely. And you end up in this painful push-pull dynamic where the more you reach for connection, the more he retreats into space. Does that sound familiar? Because I'm willing to bet you've lived this more than once. You meet someone. The connection is electric. You start spending more time together. Things are moving fast, and it feels good. You're opening up. You're letting him in. You're imagining a future. And then one day, you notice the shift. He's a little more distant, a little less available. And instead of asking him what's wrong, instead of creating space for him to process, you do what most women do. You try to close the gap. You text more. You reach out more. You try to reassure him. You try to prove your worth. And the more you do that, the more he pulls away. Because here's what's actually happening. He's not pulling away from you. He's pulling away from the version of you that needs him to stay. He's pulling away from the energy that says, please don't leave me. Because that energy, as innocent as it is, as understandable as it is, triggers something deep in him. It triggers his fear of being trapped, his fear of losing himself, his fear of not being enough. And so he runs. Not because he doesn't care about you, but because caring about you feels dangerous. Now, before we go any further, I need you to do something. I need you to comment right now. Write this. I see the pattern. Because acknowledging the pattern is the first step to breaking it. And if you're still watching, if you're still here, it means some part of you knows this is true. Some part of you is ready to stop repeating the same cycle. So write it. I see the pattern. And let's keep going. Because what I'm about to tell you is going to change everything. There's something called attachment theory. And if you've never heard of it, pay very close attention right now. Because this is the missing piece. This is what explains why some people run from love and others cling to it. Attachment theory says that the way you were loved as a child becomes the blueprint for how you love as an adult. If your caregivers were consistent, available, responsive, you likely developed secure attachment. You feel comfortable with intimacy. You don't panic when someone needs space. You trust that people will come back. But if your caregivers were inconsistent, if sometimes they showed up and sometimes they didn't, if you had to work hard to get their attention, you probably developed anxious attachment. You crave closeness, but you're terrified of abandonment. You overanalyze. You seek reassurance. You feel like you're too much. And if your caregivers were emotionally unavailable, if they dismissed your needs, if they punished you for being needy, you probably developed avoidant attachment. You value independence above all else. You pull away when things get too close. You convince yourself you don't need anyone. And here's the cruel irony. Anxious and avoidant people are magnetically drawn to each other. The anxious person sees the avoidant person's independence and thinks, finally, someone strong, someone who doesn't need me. The avoidant person sees the anxious person's warmth and thinks, finally, someone who makes me feel alive, someone who cares. But once the relationship deepens, the dance begins. The anxious person starts to need more closeness. The avoidant person starts to need more space. And the more the anxious person pursues, the more the avoidant person withdraws. And the more the avoidant person withdraws, the more the anxious person pursues. It's a trap. A painful, exhausting, soul-crushing trap. And unless both people become aware of it, unless both people do the work to heal their attachment wounds, the relationship will destroy itself. So when he pulls away, right when things get good, it's not because things are actually good. It's because things are getting real. And real feels terrifying to someone who learned early on that closeness equals pain. You know that feeling when everything is finally clicking. That moment when the puzzle pieces of your life just seem to fall into place. For weeks, maybe even months, you've been grinding, pushing through challenges, and feeling like you're just running in circles. Now, here's where most advice gets it wrong. Most people will tell you, give him space. Don't chase. Play it cool. Act like you don't care. And sure, there's some truth to that. But it's not the whole truth. Because here's what nobody's saying. If you're just playing games, if you're just pretending not to care while secretly obsessing, you're not actually changing anything. You're just performing. And he can feel that. He can feel the desperation underneath the cool exterior. He can sense that you're trying to manipulate him into staying. And that makes him pull away even more. So what's the real answer? The real answer is this. You have to genuinely not need him to stay. Not as a strategy, not as a tactic, but as a truth. You have to reach a place inside yourself where you're okay either way, where you're not trying to control the outcome, where you're not attached to him choosing you, where you're simply present, open, and unafraid of whatever happens next. Osho, the spiritual teacher, said something that rocked my world when I first heard it. He said, "If you love a flower, don't pick it. Because if you pick it, it dies and ceases to be what you love. So if you love a flower, let it be." Love is not about possession. Love is about appreciation. Read that again. Love is not about possession. Love is about appreciation. Most of us don't know how to love like that. We've been taught that love is about holding on, about making someone ours, about securing commitment, about locking it down. But that's not love. That's fear. Love says, I see you, I value you, I enjoy you, and I trust that if this is meant to be, it will be. And if it's not, something better is coming. Fear says, don't leave me, choose me, prove to me that I'm enough. Stay even when it doesn't feel right. And men can smell fear from a mile away. They can feel when you're operating from lack instead of abundance. They can sense when you're trying to fill a void inside yourself with their presence. And it repels them. Not because they're cruel, but because nobody wants to be someone's emotional crutch. Nobody wants to be responsible for another person's happiness. So when he starts to pull away, here's what you do. You don't chase. But you also don't shut down. You don't play games. But you also don't beg. You stay open. You stay warm. You stay curious. And you create space. Space for him to feel whatever he's feeling. Space for him to process. space for him to come back if he chooses to. And here's the magic. When you create that space, when you're not clinging, when you're not making his withdrawal mean something about your worth, one of two things happens. Either he comes back because he realizes that you're not trying to trap him, that you're secure enough in yourself to give him the freedom he needs, that you're the rare woman who doesn't panic when he needs to breathe. Or he doesn't come back. And as painful as that might be in the moment, it's actually a gift. Because it means he wasn't ready. It means he has work to do that has nothing to do with you. And you just saved yourself months or years of heartache trying to love someone who can't receive it. Either way, you win. Because you're not abandoning yourself in the process. You're not shrinking. You're not performing. You're not betraying your own needs to keep someone who's not sure they want to stay. Now, let's talk about what's really happening in his nervous system when he pulls away. Because this isn't just psychology. This is biology. When a man starts to feel too much closeness, when the relationship starts to get serious, his nervous system can go into what's called overdrive. His fight-or-flight response kicks in. Not because you're dangerous, but because intimacy feels dangerous to the parts of him that were hurt in the past. Maybe his parents got divorced and he watched his dad fall apart. Maybe his first love cheated on him, and he swore he'd never be that vulnerable again. Maybe he grew up in a home where emotions were punished, and he learned to shut down. Whatever the story is, it's running in the background. And when he gets close to you, when he starts to feel something real, that old wound gets activated. And his body says, danger, threat, run. And he listens, not consciously, but unconsciously. He starts creating distance. He gets busier with work. He spends more time with his friends. He stops initiating plans. He goes from texting you all day to texting you once a day. And you're left wondering, what did I do wrong? But here's the truth. You didn't do anything wrong. His nervous system is just doing what it was trained to do. It's protecting him from getting hurt again. And until he learns how to regulate his nervous system, until he learns how to sit with discomfort instead of running from it, he's going to keep repeating this pattern. With you. With the next woman. With every woman. Until he finally does the work. And that's not your job. Your job is not to fix him. Your job is not to heal him. Your job is not to prove to him that you're safe. Your job is to stay connected to yourself, to your own worth, to your own peace, and to decide whether this man, in his current state, is capable of meeting you where you are. Matthew Hussey says something I want you to write down. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. If he's pulling away, if he's going cold, if he's suddenly unavailable, that's him showing you who he is right now. That's him showing you what he's capable of in this moment. And you get to decide if that's enough for you. You get to decide if you want to wait around hoping he'll change. Or if you want to honor yourself enough to keep moving forward. Because here's what I know for sure. The right person won't pull away when things get good. The right person will lean in. The right person will do the work. The right person will communicate. The right person will say, hey, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Can we talk about this? Instead of just disappearing. And if he's not that person yet, that's okay. But you don't have to wait around for him to become it. Before we continue, I need you to do one more thing. If this is resonating, if you're seeing yourself in this, hit that like button right now. Share this video with a friend who needs to hear it. And drop a comment telling me, what's your attachment style? Are you anxious, avoidant, secure? Let's talk about it. Because awareness is the first step to transformation.